According to teasers from The Bold and the Beautiful, Steffy Forrester may make a stunning decision for Sheila Sharp. Can John Finn Finnegan's birth mother eventually become a part of his life? B&B fans are aware that Sheila was shot while attempting to save Steffy. It resulted in a hurt foot, but it could have been much worse. Steffy has given credit to Liam Spencer for saving her life, although Sheila also contributed. If Sheila hadn't shown there when she did, Luna Nozawa might have shot Steffy. Sheila dove for the gun in a critical moment, which should count for something. Sheila also tossed some painting supplies on the floor as a distraction, allowing Liam to gain the upper hand and fire at Luna. In other words, it was a collaborative effort. Sheila helped save Steffy from a terrible fate, so perhaps she deserves a small compensation. Although Sheila lost another toe in this struggle, it will be worthwhile if she can spend some time with her darling kid. Sheila has understood that she must keep her distance from Finn, but may this risky situation lead to Steffy's change of heart? Now that Steffy believes Luna is gone, she may sympathize with Finn and allow him to reconnect with his birth mother. Steffy will want to proceed with caution if this occurs, although Sheila deserves some credit for her actions. It's easy to foresee a heated conversation in which Steffy reminds Sheila of her past failures, while also appreciating that she has stepped up. Sheila demonstrated that she has changed, therefore Steffy may be willing to let Finn and Sheila bond a little more. Perhaps Finn could start stopping into Il Giardino for lunch with Sheila on occasion. Steffy may decide to leave the ball in Finn's court, and let him decide if it's something he wants to pursue. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers for the next 2 weeks, July 14th to July 25th, state that Steffy Forrester and Hope Logan will panic over losing Liam Spencer, while Luna Nozawa awakens to Lee Finnegan's surprise. During the week of July 14th to 18th, there will be additional anguish and remorse about Luna's demise. Sheila Sharp and John Finn Finnegan would both wish Luna had turned her life around rather than having it cut short. However, there is more to the story, since Lee has been making cryptic comments and demonstrating support for Luna despite her faults. Because of Lee's cunning, it is safe to assume Luna is still alive and hidden. Other B&B spoilers state that Grace Buckingham will conduct another emergency operation, because Liam will require one. Finn and Bridget Forrester will talk about Liam's resilience and bravery in the face of adversity. Bill is preparing to do something unexpected once Liam has survived his procedure. This could be related to Liam's inoperable brain tumor. If Bill receives updates and refuses to let it kill him, whatever the situation, Bill will remove Liam from the hospital while he is still asleep, so Hope and Steffy may panic when they discover Liam has vanished. Will Steffy and Hope eventually discover out what Bill is doing? Rich Forrester will be happy when Taylor Hayes and Brooke Logan offer a unified front. Liam's tragedy will bring Ridge, Brooke, and Taylor together to support him. Ridge has consented to Taylor's wedding proposal, so they may do some preparation while Brooke focuses on Nick Marone. Nick will have the opportunity to shine and draw Brooke closer, with a visit to Forrester Creations. The week of July 21st to 25th could be when Nick and Brooke finalize their Italy plans. It appears that Nick will put pressure on Brooke to accompany him on the most romantic excursion possible. There may be some Forrester business to take care of in Naples and Capri soon, making it easier for Brooke to join the team. Ridge will be upset by Nick and Brooke's forthcoming trip because his envy will surge. That vacation to Italy will begin before the end of the month, but first, let us return to the Liam action. Bill may decide to put Liam through some sort of experimental treatment, but he may face greater resistance from Hope and Steffy if he takes control of the issue. Finally, fans might catch a peek of Luna healing somewhere private in the coming weeks. Luna will eventually awaken and be shocked when Lee admits she faked her death. Lee may explain how she is giving Luna another chance to escape prison, while also keeping her away from Papi Nozawa, who Lee believes damaged Luna's life. Steffy Forrester had always had a strong sense of right and wrong, especially when it came to protecting her family. The devastation Sheila Carter brought into her life, nearly killing her, putting Finn's life in danger, and destroying havoc across generations, left scars Steffy wasn't sure would ever heal. But life does not always go in a straight line. Sometimes, especially in the high-stakes environment of love, betrayal, and forgiveness that she lived in, emotions become entangled in unexpected ways, and convictions begin to waver. As much as Steffy despised Sheila, she couldn't deny one thing. Finn's affections for his birth mother were not easily dismissed. Despite the anguish and near-death experiences, Finn maintained a peculiar, tangled emotional connection that linked him to Shila. Steffy had attempted to ignore and even bury it. She believed that her love would be enough to overshadow Finn's desire for something like a mother-son bond. However, the more she attempted to drag him away, the more alienated he got. It had been a difficult few weeks. Finn had become quieter, emotionally distant, and clearly conflicted. He would not say it aloud, but Steffy knew. Shila had contacted out again. And this time she did not threaten, shout, or manipulate. She just begged for a chance. A gentle request for acknowledgement, not forgiveness. That, more than any great gesture, had jolted Finn to his core. And in that tense silence, Steffy began to question everything. Steffy's heart moved one night as she watched Finn from across their dimly lit living room, staring blankly at an old image of his adoptive parents. This was not about forgiving Shila. It was not about embracing her. It was about Finn. About their children. Concerning stopping a cycle that had damaged families for years. Shila would never be a regular mother. But if keeping her fully separated from Finn was slowly hurting him, was it truly worth it? The next morning, Steffy said nothing about her inner turmoil. However, her actions changed. Her rage subsided. Her vigilance remained, but it was no longer motivated by fury. Instead, it was supplanted with cautious calculations. She started asking questions, not just about Shila's background, but also about what she really wanted right now. Is Shila still the chaos agent she has always been? Or was there more going on behind the surface? Something that can be reasoned with? Finn sensed the shift. He didn't say anything immediately, but Steffy could tell. One day, as they stood at the cliff house watching their children play by the beach, he quietly asked her, "Do you think people can change?" Steffy's response was not immediate. She gazed out at the horizon, the ocean mist flowing in like a secret. "I believe people surprise us, sometimes for the worse. However, there are moments when things may improve." It was not a yes. It was not even close to forgiveness. However, it was a sliver of something. Finn clutched to that sliver like a man desperate for calm. The day Steffy admitted Shila into their home under tight restrictions was not planned. It followed an emergency affecting one of the children. Hayes had fallen and required stitches. Shila, of all persons, was already at the hospital, visiting another patient. She arrived just as Finn was asking for backup. Her instincts kicked in. And she was remarkably composed, supportive, and present. There's no turmoil. There was no manipulation. Just focus. Steffy couldn't ignore the way Hayes clutched her hand. No fear in his youthful eyes. Finn contacted Steffy later that night, after the emotional storm had subsided and Hayes had fallen asleep. His voice was low, hesitant, and scared to hope. "Thank you," he muttered. Steffy did not answer with words. Her sad, weary eyes met his with a confused adoration. It was not approval, but it was closer to accepting their current reality. Rumors circulated quickly. The Forresters did not take the news lightly. Ridge was infuriated. Taylor was torn between her own history with Shila and her support for Steffy. Liam took advantage of the opportunity to question Steffy's judgment, further dividing them as co-parents. Even Hope, who was generally neutral, had to reconcile the deadly history with Finn's description of Shila today. But Steffy remained firm, not out of loyalty to Shila, but out of concern for her family's emotional welfare. She wasn't naive. She didn't suddenly believe Shila was secure and trustworthy. She simply assumed that the constant fighting in this war was poisoning her husband. And if allowing only modest, controlled contact would provide Finn with clarity or closure, she was willing to take a calculated risk. She was clear about her terms. Any violation, any sign of manipulation, aggressiveness, or dishonesty would result in Shila's lifelong exile from their world. Steffy meant it. Shila, for her part, astounded everyone. She did not push. She did not demand more than she was given. It was unclear whether this was deliberate or genuine, but Shila was quiet for the first time in a long time. Present. Humble even. The children were Steffy's major priority. She would never leave Shila alone with them. Visitors were never permitted to stay overnight. Every moment was scheduled, monitored, and documented. Despite this criticism, Shila acted appropriately. There were no eruptions. There are no crazy expressions of love or infatuation. Only tentative steps, guarded chats, and modest grins were exchanged with Finn, which did not result in tears or conflicts. Steffy watched Finn slowly return to life. The burden he'd borne began to lighten, however barely. He smiled more. He slept better. And for Steffy, that was more important than obstinate pride or ancient grudges. But Steffy was also aware that peace was precarious. With Shila, everything had an expiration date. She remained on high alert, reviewing phone logs, observing facial expressions, and reading between lines. She refused to be taken off guard again. If Shila ever hinted at returning to the person who nearly destroyed their family, Steffy was ready to burn the bridge and never look back. Despite the relative peace, the rest of the Forresters were not quick to forgive. Ridge told Steffy she was playing with fire. Brooke reminded her of how many people Shila had harmed. Even Eric, who is generally the voice of compassion, showed serious concern. But no one completely grasped the complexities of Steffy's situation. How deeply Finn's internal conflict had affected their house, children, and marriage. Steffy never asked anyone to trust Shila. She did not even fully trust herself. What she desired was breathing room. For once, allow love to serve as the compass rather than fear. And if Shila could keep this version of herself for long enough, perhaps healing could begin. Meanwhile, Finn grappled with guilt. He understood what Shila had done, how she had almost ruined the woman he loved the most. But she was his mother. The bond he hoped didn't exist continued to tug at his heart. Every nice moment with her seemed like a betrayal, and every time he avoided her felt like a wound reopened. Steffy's decision allowed him to negotiate the situation without feeling compelled to choose between his wife and his mother. Nevertheless, there were setbacks. Finn discovered Shila sneaking an illicit gift into Hayes' knapsack one afternoon. It was small, an action figure, but it crossed one of Steffy's most obvious limits. Finn did not inform Steffy right away. He faced Shila directly, and for a brief period the old Shila emerged, defensive, entitled, and wounded. But then she drew back, apologized, and promised not to do it again. Nonetheless, the episode frightened Finn enough that he nearly abandoned the endeavor entirely. When he finally told Steffy, her expression turned chilly. She did not shout. She did not cry. She simply stated, "One more step out of line and she's done." Finn didn't argue. He realized she meant it. As the weeks passed, Shila maintained a razor-thin line between tolerated presence and full banishment. Steffy stayed hyper-aware, ready for the first hint of danger. She continued to keep an eye on her spouse, however. The man she fell in love with was gradually but steadily returning, which, above all, validated her decision for the time being. Only time will tell how long this fragile calm would survive. Shila refuses to let go of the past. But for the sake of the moment, for Finn, Hayes, and herself, Steffy decided to accept the chance. Not because she trusted Shila, but because she cared about her family. Love has always been Steffy's greatest strength, and this time it might just save them all.